Hello everybody, it is Wingflyer again, and today I am bringing you yet another game of TA Escalation. Guys, from what I hear, this is going to be a good one. I haven't actually seen it, but I do believe Deoxide, he's the one who uploaded this to the to Discord. And it sounded like an awesome game, so I am very excited to bring you this 4v4 on Hell on Earth. Very aptly named map that reflects the state of life. Life is hell, and TA Escalation is hell as well. Guys, I'm sorry I haven't uploaded a video in a week, or it's been a little bit. Just had a lot going on, but we are back today with, I'm sure, what is going to be an epic game on Hell on Earth. And let me introduce the players. We got Des Ex Machina here in the bottom left. The, what are we going to call this? Light blue, teal, arm commander. He went vehicle first. In pink, we have Copperhat, who went K-Bot, and he is ARM. In orange, we have Brotan, and he is Core, going vehicle first. And in red, Corb, going K-Bot. Here in the top left, we have Gully, the brown Core Commander, who went K-Bot first. We have Harold, the yellow Core Commander, going K-Bot first. We have Bully, the blue Arm Commander, going K-Bot. And Angel, 19 Angel, the purple Core Commander, going K-Bot first. So here at the beginning, nothing too out of the ordinary, I have to say. Very traditional starts from the players. Guys, I cannot speed up the game because Bully has locked the game speed to 0. So essentially that means strap yourselves in, because this is probably going to be a long one. You can speed up the YouTube video. If you click on the little cog, there's a little different ways to getting to it depending on whether you're watching this on your computer or on your phone or tablet, but either way, there is an option to speed this up if you'd like to watch the game more quickly. Here at the beginning, the players are probably just going to be expanding out, taking some territory, you know, building up their economy, upgrading their technology, etc., etc. But no one going air yet. I'm really surprised air is actually pretty good on this map. I always like to go air on this map because you get these little geo spots in the lava, little geo islands on both sides. That's a lot of free energy that you can claim if you are cheeky enough to take it. Like I said, if you go air, it is quite easy to take those. And then I usually build defender rings around them so the enemy can't so easily bomb them into oblivion. Tends to be a pretty good strategy on this map. We'll have to see if the players want to take advantage of that. Now guys, you'll see that in the top right I do have a players list, a kind of de facto players list. It's not the recorder player list, but it's just gonna have to do, because the truth is, sometimes on these big 4v4 games, the player list will bug out, which is kind of a hellish thing for me because I can't see the metal and energy income as easily as I normally would. But we still have kind of a poor man's, a cheap man's wooden player list in the top right that is just going to have to be good enough. Hopefully you guys can see it, and it might help me as well to know who I'm talking about. as we proceed through this cast. Harold making a push down here. He's got quite a few AKs, looks to be about 15 or 20. Oh, maybe even more, maybe closer to 30. It's a lot of AKs here at the start. Now on this map, taking control of the mid is extremely important because the mid has all this juicy metal squares, and these metal squares are like a pseudo metal map. They give a ton of metal, and you can build a lot of extractors on them in an area, or one big extractor. So you have to claim those. If you allow the enemy to simply occupy that territory without any kind of conflict, you will oftentimes just lose. So the battle over the mid is very important. And Harold seems to understand that because he has built a ton of AKs here at the start, where a lot of players will be more greedy. They will kind of forego their T1 spam to kind of rush to Tech 2. That is certainly an option, but then if you're not helping your team claim the mid, you will fall behind as a team, and you may just lose that way. So yeah, on this map, control of the center area, an extremely important aspect of winning. So let's see how the players want to take advantage of that. Right now it seems like Harold is the only player on the east or the northeast side. Team 1, as we'll call it. Team 1 is the north team, and Team 2 is the south team. So Harold, the only player on the north team that has really spammed. But his teammates now bringing down some AKs, an MAK, some Rockos. But yeah, just at a glance, Team 2 definitely doing a better job of providing those numbers. They seem to have a bigger force, but it does come down to how they want to use it. Here in the middle, a battle between Gators and AKs. And here at the top middle, the north, center north, Gully has done a good job of fortifying this area. He sent out this construction cable out way at the start, began building light laser towers, and a little risky, could have easily gotten caught before he had fortified this position, but no, he has made a pretty impressive defensive line here that will be difficult to break through. And in the middle, still a clash of forces from the north and south. One hell of a battle here, guys, but it doesn't look like either team really taking the upper hand. Very contested early game. And Wotan, with a sneaky little run-by squad of instigators here, what can he get done? He will run headlong into Harold's MAKs. And MAKs are pretty good at killing instigators, especially if they can keep them at a range. They do outrange the instigators. And yeah, just a lot of battles happening all over the middle. There are 8 players, so there is the potentiality for many different engagements happening all over the map. Can be difficult to keep up with. But Wotan, these 3 instigators have made it through, and he will be a nuisance. But yeah, this upgraded core Geo with the riot cannon, such a beast. I definitely, this is preference, but I definitely do prefer the core Geo upgrade with the riot cannon to the arm upgrade that has the missile missile turret that can kind of shoot at air or ground. Obviously, the arm one is better. It's more of a hybrid defense. It can actually hit air, and it's kind of decent against everything, I guess you could say. But the core Geo is absolutely shreds, especially T1 units, especially fast-moving things like flashes and instigators and weasels and jeffies. Any kind of raider unit, it just shreds to pieces. So it's quite awesome. But both of them very good in their own ways, both of those upgrades. Very powerful. Like, so for example, in this situation, the arm one would be much better because you're not really going to get any raiders, any kind of fast-moving assault tanks coming into the lava, but you're more concerned about like air, like bombing runs or fighter harassment. And in that case, the arm upgrade is much better for this situation in the lava than the core riot cannon would be almost useless. The only nice thing about the upgrade in that case is just that it gives the Geo more health. So if the Geo has more health, then it's harder to kill. And but yes, both upgrades, both the arm and core upgrades, very good for different reasons. And we do have here in the front Harold building his advanced K-Bot lab right at the front. Somewhat of a riskier proposition because obviously it can be taken out more easily. Wotan telling his allies to make a Toaster mid. Toaster kind of infamous for its absolutely stunning destructive power, especially against T1 and T2 units. It fires a volley of 3 basically Punisher shots that hit in a massive AoE, and it has quite a large range as well. So, guys, I do have to say, Toasters are very, very strong in this mod. Arguably in OTA and 3.1c, Guardians and Toasters were kind of underwhelming. But in Escalation, they have been buffed to an ungodly degree. It's kind of hard to even like fathom how much better they are, just in terms of their functionality, in terms of their damage output, their AOE, their range. It's a little disgusting. If I'm being honest, it's a little disgusting, just a little bit. But let's look at what the players are doing in their bases. Deus Ex Machina, and could this be Deoxide? I don't know if he ever plays under his actual name. He seems to like wearing a mask. But whatever the case, very interesting. He built 6 metal storages. I'm not sure what the deal is with that. Maybe he just couldn't use his metal. But he doesn't have a ton of extractors. I'm a little surprised he would need to build 6. Maybe he's future-proofing. Either way, whoever this player is hasn't really done much. Building some javelins. Advanced vehicle plant. Looks like he's mostly teching up as much as he can. Probably going for a kind of mid-game push. But yeah, the middle, this is very close. The southern team has kind of claimed this part of the center, and the northern team has claimed this part. So what I was saying earlier at the beginning, if one team claims all 4 of these spots, it's very hard to come back from that, because they will have such a huge territorial and economic advantage over their opponents. And you got to look out for that. So some Valkyries here. Now, I don't know if the Team 1 wants to do some kind of drop shenanigans on their opponents. It is not unheard of on this map to drop Mavericks into the enemy base. That seems to be a very popular strategy that can tilt some players to a degree that you would not believe. But yeah, here we have Copper Hat with a few Mavericks, and these will be quite annoying. But it doesn't look like anything that the northern team can't deal with, so with this group of Pyros and Zeuses, they will easily take care of those 3 Mavericks. But overall, the game does seem pretty even at this point. As I said before, both teams have some control of the middle. The North team doing a little bit better. They have a stronger hold on the center, and now building a toaster, as Wotan did request. So, yeah, the Southern team not occupying this metal spot could be a bit of a problem, but overall, it shouldn't be too devastating yet. But again, they are going to have to try to control mid better if they can. Of course, Harold's toaster will make it very difficult. As I mentioned before, toasters are extremely powerful in escalation. Wotan even talked about perhaps nerfing them in the next patch, but we'll have to see what happens. It does look like Harold doing a little bit of poking with these Dominators. Dominators in escalation, as I mentioned before, do have a forward-firing rocket, so they act a lot differently than they did in OTA and in other mods where they fire vertically. Of course, they can still fire vertically in this mod, but typically they're not used that way. I've rarely seen them used that way. They are mostly used for their forward-firing capability. Here we have this toaster laying waste to that poor metal extractor. It just got deleted into another dimension. And Goalie also upgrading his Punisher to a toaster as well. So yeah, at the moment, the Northern team definitely having a better control of the mid, but the Southern team has not ceded the territory completely by any stretch. And Pink, a couple shooters here. Those will take out that metal extractor, denying the North team a little bit of economy there. And here in the bottom, Angel attempting a bit of a cheeky run by with some pyros and storms. But you know, ultimately, that will go by the wayside. Yeah, this map does tend to lead to these stalemate situations in the mid. 4v4 games are kind of infamous for this. It is very tough to push against 4 players who are all producing units and defenses. But at the moment, the Southern team looks to be just pushing out. Wotan asks, where is Ambusher? And perhaps he's looking for the enemy's toaster. Maybe he's going to try to kill it. Either way, this Wotan's toaster seems to be in range of Harold's. So this toaster probably not long for this world. It did just finish building, but chances are it will not last very long, and yeah, it's gone. So yeah, that's quite an investment to just be deleted so quickly after building. It's quite unfortunate for Wotan. And it looks like Team 2 now making a push for the mid here. A combination of javelins, some shooters and reapers, but there's a lot of defense. A lot of defense. 2 toasters. We've got Dominators. We've got Sumos. We've got everything and the kitchen sink all in the middle. Guys, that is just... it's going to be hard to push. It's going to be hard to push on T2. You would need a massive army. And Just don't think the southern team has it right now. And there's even a question of whether they would want to invest all those resources in a T2 army when they could just upgrade to T3 and have a much better shot at it, at breaking this defensive line. I think to continue to build T2 and push into that might be a mistake. If they are going to keep building T2, they should probably just use it more in a defensive posture to prevent the northern team from rushing in. But in the meantime, Corp building the first repulsor of the game, it seems, the first tactical nuke. Unless I've missed it, has the northern team built a tactical nuke anywhere? If they have, I don't see it. Right now it's just Corp building a single repulsor. We have seen in previous games tactical nukes being extremely effective. They can be game changers, and they can also kind of do nothing. It really depends on how the player uses it and whether the enemy team has nuke defense and anti-nuke. But here in the south, Copper Hat with a push of shooters. Shooters will outrange that Sentinel, but these Dragon Steeds doing a great job of mitigating that damage. And now a Punisher complete, and the Punisher very good at I would think killing these shooters. Behind him, Corb doing a Fido push as well, but he will turn back when he sees the sheer number of units that the Team 1 is bringing to bear in this fight. These shooters have now made their way around this this little mountain, or whatever you want to call it, cliff. But they're going to get trapped in a corner, and Corb is going to smartly retreat from this battle. So, interesting attempt there by Copper Hat, but ultimately didn't accomplish too much. Wotan frustrated with his team. It's understandable why Wotan's team doesn't seem to be contributing too much to the fight for the middle. There was that little push at the bottom we just saw, but that wasn't so effective. And they might be better off securing this area. It seems like what Wotan wanted to do, try to make a fortification there in the center and a fight for control of the map. And his team not really cooperating with his wishes, so that might be a problem, because the northern team has done a very good job of fortifying their part of the map. Here in the bottom, Bully now pushing with Fidos, and Harold with some Goliaths. That's a lot of Fidos, but will it be enough to kill this Guardian? Getting pretty low. It's at about a tenth. It's so close. It does finally die. And Harold will take out this repulsor before it gets a single nuke off. So yeah, Team 1 with a very effective push in the mid there. As I mentioned before, Team 2 just doesn't have the same defensive fortification as Team 1. They just have not secured the map to the same degree as the northern team has, and it's leading to a situation where they're able to apply much more pressure to their opponents, unfortunately, than the northern team, than the southern team can apply to them. But in the meantime, Copper Hat building an Annihilator, and Annihilator, very strong T2 defense. will be especially good against these sumos and Goliaths that Harold is building. So yeah, Copperhead gonna want to build or finish that as soon as he can to prevent Team 2 from just being overrun on this map, just losing the game. Because yeah, that is a lot of stuff. A lot of Goliaths, and sumos. We got some Dominators, Mortys, and oh man, Copperhead desperately trying to protect this investment, throwing up those metal storages to act as nano shields, but ultimately this Annihilator just too little too late. Maybe if he had built it a little earlier, or if his team had helped him secure the area, but ultimately that will die before it achieves anything. Team 1 in a commanding position now. This is a very tough situation. Red claiming that it is over for him, and it does seem like the Northern team has taken the mid for themselves. They have pushed their oppressors off of them, and they will now be doing the oppressing. Corb desperately pushing out Fidos in an attempt to defend himself, but Harold, my god, that is so many sumos and Goliaths. It's just kind of terrifying to watch. And Team 2 in a lot of trouble, guys. A lot of trouble. Yeah, this is what I was talking about before. The teal player just hasn't done that much this game. Making 5 K-Bot labs and not really using them. Only using 1 K-Bot lab. What's the point of building all these if you're only going to use 1? Just a massive waste of resources. Yeah, Teal definitely feels like hasn't contributed to the game much at all. His team kind of recognizing now that yeah, he's derping a little bit. He just really hasn't done much. I mean, I guess he's sending in a steady stream of Fido food. But in the meantime, Angel pushing in with these Dominators and Mortys. The Southern team desperately trying to hold this choke point. They know that if Team 1 breaks through, Corb will most likely pay the ultimate price, and if Corb falls, the Team 1 almost certainly going to be in a lot of trouble. They're already on the back foot, but if they lose Corb, which is probably one of their best players, that could spell doom. Wotan building an Intimidator. That is an interesting tactic. Intimidator obviously much longer range than the Toaster. Pretty epic battle here in the south center. Team 2 barely holding on. It seems like they're sending just enough to keep this battle going. But with Harold's forces now pouring in, it looks like it could just be over for the Southern team. They are mounting a desperate last attempt. See what's going on back at Team 1's base. Some eco, and Angel now maybe the first player going to T3. Perhaps the first player in the game to tech to the next level. But yeah, somehow Team 2 has pushed them back. They have built just enough units, but no. It looks like Copper Hat, in fact, did beat Angel to T3. Going Core K-Bot Lab. Excuse me, ARM K-Bot Lab. ARM T3 Ultra K-Bots. So he will be the first player to make it. And why build? It's such a massive investment to build an advanced K-Bot Lab, to build 5 and then only use 1. I mean, for the cost of 5 K-Bot Labs, you could probably build a T3 lab. Right, he could be on T3 now, instead of having 4 useless K-Bot Labs that he's never really even never really activated or built anything from this game. So yeah, if I were on Deus Ex Machina's team, I would be very frustrated as well, especially because he's in the safe position. The bottom left is the safest position on the southern team, and from here you're kind of expected to contribute to your team as much as you can, either by providing air support or eco or perhaps rushing T3. He is now using a second K-Bot Lab. That's better than nothing, I suppose. He's just got 3 more to go. 3 more K-Bot Labs and he will have achieved his dream of using all 5. It is quite an accomplishment. But yeah, very little airplay this game, which is quite surprising because there are a lot of gaps. Some T2 bombers in the right place can make all the difference in the world, as G-Man might say. Both teams have decent air defense, but not enough to stop a dedicated T2 bombing raid by any stretch. So yeah, very surprising that neither team really opting to utilize air very much this game, except perhaps for some scouting. Here in the center bottom, Bully being a bully with all these Fidos, attempting to stop this push by Wotan into the eastern portion of the map, and doing a pretty good job of it. Wotan forced to retreat, and here in the center, my god, Harold just has way too much stuff. Goliaths and Sumos and Dominators. Oh my. And yeah. Deus Ex Machina with a poultry squad of Fidos and Javelins. Harold does have a neutralizer. Haven't seen him use it. I may have just missed it. Ooh. What happened there? Something exploded, guys. I didn't see what happened. I don't think the southern team has a tactical nuke launcher anymore, so it wasn't that. Oh, it was this. It was this Intimidator. So yeah, we mentioned this earlier. Wotan built this Intimidator about 5 minutes ago or so. And interesting strategy. Very interesting strategy. He is now going to apparently slowly pick apart Harold's middle base with these withering shells. Boom. Yeah, Wotan very creative with his strategies oftentimes. And this Intimidator is a really interesting option. Intimidator is typically more of a late game tech. Typically something you might want to build, you know, I don't know, let's see, like 40 minutes on, but Wotan building this more in the mid-game. And, yeah, Copperhead kind of scolding his teammate Deus Ex Machina, saying it's 20 minutes too late to attack. I'm sure it would be frustrating. Let's see, he's still only using 2 advanced K-Bot labs. Just 3 more to go. 3 more to go. You will have achieved your dream. But here in the middle, battle between Fidos. Pretty awesome to watch. Fidos have a very cool weapon. But man, I'm actually surprised Team 2 survived that push about 5-10 minutes ago. I thought that might end the game right there. But they mounted a defensive force just in time, just the right amount of strength to push back the northern team before they could inflict any further damage. Copperhat with these Marauders. They're like the T3 rocket spiders. Decent at this kind of AoE harassment from a range. Good defensive option, especially if your opponents will clump units. And in the meantime, Wotan's Intimidator still firing. Trying to keep an eye on what it's shooting at. At this point, it seems to be targeting perhaps the tactical nuke. And Wotan making a push into the east with an army of Reapers. But ultimately, those will melt to Harold's massive army. And Copperhat essentially throwing away those Marauders. I don't know if I agree with that. If he had combined them with the Cerberus and some shooters, I think it would have been a much more effective joint attack of T3 with shooter support. And some Jethros for air defense. So, yeah, you don't want to just throw your T3 away. You certainly want to try to use it effectively, pair it with other units, and go for an all-out attack on your opponent's base. One thing I don't understand when anytime Bully plays a game, he's constantly spamming his F11 over and over, and I don't know why he's spamming the same commands. Perhaps he's trying to turn his sharing on and off. I don't know why he would do that. Yeah, I'm not really sure why he does that. Anytime I've seen Bully play, he spams that macro throughout the game, but from what I can tell, I'm not really sure what the purpose of it. Maybe there's a purpose, I just don't know it. But yeah, single Intimidator, still trying to get the neutralizer. There is a shroud though, there is a cloaking device there, so Wotan more or less just approximating where that neutralizer is, probably why he hasn't killed it yet. In escalation, long-range plasma cannons are fairly accurate. They're not perfectly accurate, but they can hit their target. probably around 50% of the time. And yeah, he will finally take out that tactical nuke launcher. So great job there by Wotan. And in the north, Harold finally doing his push of Goliaths and Sumos, but this will hit a wall of Cerberus. And Cerberus, extremely potent defensive K-bots. As you will see, in some ways they're kind of a walking toaster. We talked about toasters earlier, how strong they are. Cerberus is just kind of a walking toaster. That's what it is. It's a T3 K-bot with these 3 extremely powerful long-range cannons that have a huge AoE. So they are kind of the mobile version of the toaster. Of course, they have a lot more health than a toaster. They're quite tanky, quite hard to kill, very difficult to deal with. Certainly, Wotan's force of Goliaths and Sumos will not be enough. And in the meantime, Bully doing a push down the middle with some Fidos, but that perhaps ill-advised. Bully just pushing by himself without the support of his teammates into 4 players. Probably not the best investment, probably not the best way to use those Fidos. In these 4v4 games, you really do have to rely on your teammates. You need to work together to secure the best outcome for yourself and for your team. So, yeah, the Southern team, despite losing mid early on, they have done a great job of staying in the game. And Copper Hat now with 3 Cerberus and this Marauder that's just 1 little sliver of health. It's been 1 sliver of health for, feels like, for 10 minutes now, but still chugging along like the little engine that could. And Angel with some Widows of his own. Widows are essentially the core equivalent to the Marauder, these missile spiders. So guys, the game is heating up here. There is a lot of T3 on the battlefield now, and more being produced all the time. I'm really surprised the northern team hasn't taken these metal spots. I'm assuming they were destroyed at some point, but perhaps they will get to it eventually. Players slowly all upgrading to T3 production. And I have to say, Copper Hat's the speed of his assembly line at this point is quite impressive. He is pumping out these Cerberus like there is no tomorrow. He's got looks like about 20 advanced construction K-bots working on that project. So he is building these at an insane rate. And so far this game, they've been very effective. We don't see Cerberus too much. In some ways, they are dwarfed by the core Juggernaut. The core Juggernaut, of course, having a superior range, I think, and a bigger AoE. They tend to counter Cerberus, I would say, and be better in these team games. But if you get enough Cerberus, and if you use them effectively, they can be extremely powerful on their own, in their own right. And Wotan now moving down with this force of Talos, Goliaths, and Sumos. Copperhead's force will crash into that, and there will be an epic battle here in the south center of the map. both teams still struggling to make headway. Ever since the Team 1 did that push earlier that ultimately failed to break into Corb's base, and he is now kind of walling it off with Dragon's Teeth to prevent that from happening again. Do not enter here. Ye be warned. So, yeah, it's at this point still pretty even, but Team 1 continuing to hold this position, even though Wotan's Intimidator has done a great job of thinning out Harold's base here. And Wotan says he is now going Buzzsaw. That would be quite an impressive upgrade to his Intimidator, which I'm sure has veterancy at this point. So yeah, he is going for this Intimidator, and that will surely allow them to decimate Team 1's defensive line here near impunity. If Wotan can complete it, that's kind of all contingent on whether Wotan can get that Buzzsaw done in time. They are quite expensive, and they are not quick to build. They have a very large build time, so expensive and slow. But if you can complete them, if you can complete one, and if you have the energy to support it, it can be a game ender. Certainly, it would be probably pretty good in this game. And wow, Gully has a metric ton of flax. Looks like at least 10 or 12. And building more, so yeah, he will not be harassed by the air. Yeah, he's decided that that's not how he's going to die this game. He's going to die in some other way, but not through aerial means. No bombing or gunship campaigns on this part of the map seems to be the idea. And still, he has this army of Cerberus. Of course, they're all at about half health, except for this one. Harold spamming Talos. I'm not sure about that. Talos are kind of a hybrid mech unit that they spam kind of endless volley of missiles at anything and everything, so they can hit air. But because they're hybrids, because they can hit both air and land, it kind of feels like they're not great against either. They're not certainly not as specialized of a T3 unit as something like a Juggernaut might be, or an Arbitrator. The Talos not the best against other T3 units, certainly. They do still have a ton of health, as most T3 units do, but not the best counter, certainly, to Cerberus. And the Team 2 doesn't have much air either, so they don't really need the anti-air that much. So again, yeah, I'm not sure about this choice of building Talos, but as I say that, Gully has produced the first Juggernaut of the game, and that will be a much more effective form of technology for this situation. As I said, these Juggernauts do outrange even Cerberus, I believe. They hit in a huge AoE, so with all this tightly packed stuff, this Juggernaut could make a massive difference in the war. Southern team now doing a push. firing. Each shot so devastating. And East Cerberus now hitting the wall of defense here. We've got a toaster, 2 toasters, a Doomsday Machine, and a lot of Talos. Well, I'm not really sure why he's even building Stumpies. Stumpy a T1 armed medium tank. At this point in the game, they're just kind of cannon fodder. I don't think they're even going to get close enough to fire a shot most of the time. And if you want cannon fodder, there are better units for that. So yeah, I'm not even sure why Copperhead continuing to build the Stumpies. Juggernaut of gullies now moving west, and as I said before, guys, Juggernauts quite impressive. No slouch for sure. These will end the game if given the chance. I think they're quite a bit stronger than the Cerberus. Myself. Having a longer range, and they have this purple laser on the top, so they are more specialized at, well, they're kind of good against everything, because with their massive AoE cannons, they deal with spam and numbers, and with their purple laser, they can deal with bigger targets as well. So they're just kind of strong against almost any ground force you would encounter. Where the Cerberus only really have the 3 cannons, and thus they're pretty good against spam, but they're not as strong against the other T3, you know, the larger threats. And this is something that Copperhat was complaining about, that he was having trouble killing those Talos with his Cerberus, which is true because the Cerberus aren't as good at killing other T3 units as they are against mass numbers of T1 and T2. But Pink now going for T4. He has seems like he's completely abandoned the T3 game plan. He's stopped producing anything out of his factory. And oh, okay, Deus Ex Machina now using 4 out of the 5. Congratulations, buddy. You are almost there. You are almost to the 5th K-Bot lab. Perhaps before the game is over, he will get there, guys. But in the meantime, like I said, Copperhat now moving to T4. And we've seen T4 in other games on this map. They can absolutely make the difference. It can certainly a well-timed T4 unit could give Team 2 the advantage it needs to win the game, or at least to stop any aggression from the north. But yeah, this Intimidator, this Buzzsaw, still being worked on, finally completed at 55 minutes and 21 seconds. It will finally be, the construction will finish. But the question is, does Wotan have the power? He has a lot of fusions, but he doesn't have a lot of storage. He does have this one. That's something else. Yeah, Wotan might want more advanced storage, but perhaps he has enough energy production to fire it non-stop. But will it be too late? Team 1 now doing a death push of T3, Talos, Marauders, Sumos, Fidos, everything under the sun in this push. And can Team 2 stop it? They do have an Annihilator here, but they're going to need more than one Annihilator. However, this Buzzsaw, a very effective defensive tool for a situation like this, as long as Wotan can keep it alive, continue to pump out massive AoE damage at essentially a map-wide range. But there is a death ball moving to the west now, guys. Massive push of Talos. We've got some Fidos, and these Marauders now breaking through into Corv's base. Corv struggling to hold back the darkness. Corv in trouble. Copperhat begging Wotan to help. Wotan doing his damnedest to stop this north push. And Gully is still progressing forward with. And the southern team once again desperately clinging to any chance holding on that they can. But that is so many Talos. That is just an army. So many T3 units, and it looks like Team 2 may just crumble here, guys. Ultimately, Copperhat did make it to T4, but he wasn't able to produce anything in time. Maybe if he had just another 5 minutes or so, it could have been different. But Team 1 not content to give their opponents any time as they slowly crawl, walk, and roll into their base. And Corv will tap out here. So, yeah, in the end, guys, very, very good game. And Team 2 definitely could have done it, I think. And Deus Ex Machina contributed a little. He still never did use his factory. Eddie contributed a little more, given Pink time to build his T4 unit. It could have definitely could have won them the game. But yeah, ultimately, oh, here at the end, he will use his 5th K-Bot Lab. Congratulations. All 5 are now in use, of course. It just happens while his base is crumbling around him. But, yeah, this Buzzsaw now in a lot of trouble, as Wotan will crumble as well. So, yeah, that definitely wasn't Deoxide. Deoxide is the one that submitted the replay, so I figured he had actually participated, but no, that wasn't him. That was probably some just random guy. Don't know who Light Blue was, but either way, guys, that was an awesome game. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed it. And yeah, till the next cast.